name is Dominica Canteen. I work at a child development center in Yokosuka Naval Base, and I recently came back January of this year. So previously was here for 3 years in 2011, 2014. So I'm back.
I'm Tay. So I've been here for a little over 2 years, and then, well, I have a few things that I do. So I do freelance modeling and acting, and then also I just started a business. Is You Made Japan. It's like a Japanese snack box business. So yeah, that's what I do.
I'm Steven. I'm a filmmaker and videographer. I've been here, I guess, 2.5 years, since May 2022.
I'm John. I've been here for about, on and off, almost 2 years. I live a corporate life, but I also do photography as well.
My name is Cam. I've only been here for 5 months. I'm a musician and a digital artist.
Alright, cool. My name is also Cam.
Hey.
I've been here for about 6 years, and I am a professional fashion and beauty photographer.
So the first question, is Japan racist? Getting a little messy. Is Japan racist? If someone asks you, is Japan racist, what are you going to say?
I say yes and no. It just depends on, I want to say not only just depends on the context, but it just depends on, I guess, the situation or where you're going, who you're around. Like, I think that's what it really depends on. I can't say yes, because even me living in Yokohama, I have not once been around someone or on the train, on a bus, in a restaurant or anywhere where they walked up and went away, or they said like, oh no, we don't want to serve you, or anything of that. I actually can say like probably like last year there was not an Oji-san, it was I forgot what grandma is.
Obasan?
Obasan, yeah, it was an Obasan. Like literally, I was at a cafe and she legit wanted to take a picture with me. So that was a prime example of like Japan is not necessarily racist, but again, there are some moments where I've seen someone like get up, like as soon as I get into a train and I sit down, they just walk up. And I don't take offense to it. I'm just like, I get it, but
What is it that you get? Why don't you take offense?
unfortunately, I think it's because of the stigma of what other foreigners, when they come here, they kind of make it look bad for the ones that are actually doing good. Like, for example, that one dude,
Johnny Smalley.
well, aside note, him, that's a whole nother case. That's just,
There's another one?
yeah. So this is one dude that he was like dancing in the train.
Is he black?
That guy.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he was literally dancing.
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you all have seen it?
No, I haven't.
What?
He was
embarrassing.
I've seen
Yeah,
it.
he was dancing literally in the train.
This was recent?
Yeah, this was very
Oh,
recent.
damn.
I say like a month or two ago. I
Wow.
He's from New York City.
Yeah.
Oh, do y'all know his at? His
Yeah,
Twitter?
yeah.
What's his name?
It's underscore Mon de jour or something like that.
There was 2 guys.
Yeah, it was-
who were
yeah,
dancing
yeah.
in the
It was
train.
2 of them?
But he was like the main one. There was one. I forgot where he was going to, but I know it was around the Tokyo area. And he got into the train. He was literally in the middle of the aisle, and he kind of pretended to fall down. And he was asking someone to pick him up. And the Japanese guy's just like, dude, I don't know you. Like, why am I gonna pick you up? And so eventually he got him himself, and then he just started dancing literally in the middle of the train. And it actually made I don't think it made news, but I know they were the Japanese officials like made it a big deal that,
Of course.
you can't be dancing on the train.
Yeah.
So I think it's situations like that kind of make it look bad for people like us who actually mind our business. We're not doing nothing. That makes certain Japanese people like, we don't want to, be around them or mess with them because we don't want any problems or anything like that.
Right. But is it okay for them to stereotype all of us like that?
It's not okay, but what can we like?
You said it's human?
At
Yeah.
this point, globally, it's human, unfortunately. And I think I believe it's different layers to that. They might not like foreigners as a whole. And sometimes, as a black person, excuse me, I might go to you don't like me because I'm black, versus just, you're just simply not Japanese. I don't care if I'm pink, purple, or green, you're not Japanese.
Right.
So for my sanity, I just take that with a grain of salt. It's like, I'll never, as respectful as I am, I'll never be one of them as a Japanese person. Even people who are biracial here and can speak fluent Japanese. If they don't look Japanese, if they, even the ones who live here leave, go to school, work elsewhere, and then come back, they get shunned. So at this point in my life, I'm like,
It's everybody.
yeah, like everybody can get it,
Right.
So I just like, hey, as long as I'm respectful, I try to carry myself in a respectful manner. Hopefully that can change their view, at least the people that I'm interacting with on a personal level,
Right.
change their view about, okay, well, we won't collectively have this thought process of, we don't want to be associated with you, we don't want to be near you. At least there's a few out there that don't act like the ones the media portrays or the ones in person who portray themselves as, disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I feel like added on to that, I mean, for me personally, I spent the past 5 years in the countryside. So like all the way down to Yamaguchi. Y'all know where Yamaguchi is?
Ooh, that's
I'm
the
just
middle of
curious.
nowhere.
That's like
Yeah, I wanna say
out there.
nowhere.
Yeah.
So I think saying like racism or racist it's a fairly strong word. I would feel like, and I think it's more so that the people, the community in Yamaguchi, this is my experience by the way, they don't have much interaction with people who are non-Japanese. So, my experience living there, I was approached as, who is this person? It was more of a curiosity type of thing. And then it turned into being more of a cultural exchange type of opportunity. So then, I talked with them, they talked with me, and at the time, my Japanese was down there. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. Because like we were talking earlier, we were able to see each other just on an individual level, right? We know we have these differences and stuff like that, but with our body language, and I think just in general as humans, there's stuff that we can sense that doesn't have to be verbal. You know what I mean?
Body language.
You can, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be body language. It could just be a particular energy someone's giving off, and you're like, that person's cool. Like, I vibe with that. You don't really know why. You can't put a word to it, but that person's cool. And now some of the closest homies I got, they're Japanese people down in Yamaguchi. You know what I mean? And then this is just a little, again, some of my background, but I said earlier, I was a national fencer. So I was fencing with the team out there. We're over here doing cultural exchanges, not only just cultural-wise, but skill-wise as well. So then we helped build each other up, and we was all able to make it down to Zenkoku Taikai, which is like nationals for Japan. So we won our little regional, our local, won regional, and I was up there fencing with one of Japan's Olympic fencers. Got my butt kicked, by the way. Okay, got my butt kicked because at that point I wasn't trained to be an Olympian anymore. But yes, that's my 2 cents. Sorry, I be talking.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
It's good to hear those kinds of experiences. I'm curious to know from you, because as Black people, we have a little bit different viewpoint of like racism and stuff. So as a white man here, like if someone says, "Is Japan racist?" How are you gonna respond?
Well, there's a lot I have to say, I guess, about this question. In terms of my own personal experiences, moving to Japan was the first time I've not been a majority compared to the United States. So I was stopped and frisked by the police once here, which is something that I think white people in the United States are not used to dealing with. But what the thing that I really wanted to talk about this though, like answering the question, is Japan racist, is I guess a difficult question with because it's a generalization, but in regards to does it exist here, I guess I would say it does, because so my fiance, specifically I want to talk about her, she is half Japanese and half Ghanaian. And she's born and raised here, and we always speak Japanese together. But when we go to a restaurant and, like a server comes up to her and starts like speaking English to her, or once in a while says like, "Your Japanese is so good," that really, really bothers me, because there's such a lack of awareness that there are Japanese people here who don't look like the, I guess, typical image someone would imagine a Japanese person looks like. And she did have some experiences growing up as a kid, some kids picking on her in a racist way. There is an anime character, I think he's called Kogepan, which means burnt toast. And she said that some kids called her that growing up. And then just one other thing to add too about, like, because some people could say, like, where is the line drawn between like racism and maybe just ignorance, because it's such an ethnically homogenous culture. The argument I would say that there is racism here is that there were a couple comedians, maybe you guys heard of, that performed in blackface, and that alone is problematic. But what also is problematic is just how many Japanese people, including Japanese people I've personally talked to, so passionately defended those comedians. No, that's not racist. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, it's dehumanizing and mocking, and I would say if there's not an awareness of why that's wrong, that's racism on a societal level.
Right. No, I agree. Does anyone else want to add on to
There's
that?
also a caste system that people don't really talk about. We typically know that like India has a caste system, but there's a caste system here as well, subtly, where fairer skin is praised, if you will. Typically deemed that if you have fairer skin, you weren't doing manual labor. So that's the perception of, for some people, I'm not saying all, but for some people, that if you have darker skin, then you were doing manual labor or blue collar jobs. And then the beauty products of bleaching the skin, and or in the summertime they're like covered head to toe. In the wintertime, they're out because they want to keep their skin fair. And sometimes in my head, when I was here years ago, I wanted my daughter to model, and I'm like, well, like, she's beautiful. She's biracial, but she's always gotten these compliments. But then I would see pictures of like blonde, blue-eyed, and I'm like, nothing wrong with it, but why is that just on a global scale of beauty standards, and also historically, I just don't understand why it's this praise of that hierarchy globally when there's just been so much destruction by the fair complexion, if you will. So, but they're still praised, around the world, and it's like, well, for a Black American, despite what the media says, there's still this stigma, even if the majority of us are law-abiding citizens, act right, are kind, welcoming, family is important to us, but that's not what's showcased. It's always the negativity that's showcased, and then, like I said, people in different countries will either shown away, and it might be more so with men. I haven't experienced that. I just know, like, people talk about it, but it scared me years ago, and that's one of the reasons why I left years ago, because I was afraid that at some point I would run into that, because I would hear stories of them speaking in their own language to someone who could understand Japanese, and they would say derogatory things about people's darker skin. I'm like, I've always admired this country. I've always wanted to come here, and I would hate to have a negative experience. And then I start to have a negative outlook. So I was like, you know what? It was that and other factors. I was like, you know what? I need to take a break. I'm going to leave. Years later, I regret leaving because I believe that I cheated my kids out of an experience of ingraining themselves in the culture and just not having, excuse me, not even running into that. You know, like I said, I was afraid of something that may or may not have ever happened, but I left. Like I said, fast forward, I was like, put that, you know, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna try to immerse myself in the culture. You know, if I come across somebody who doesn't like me, I'm just gonna keep smiling and just, you know, go to the next person. You know, and just have a good experience. And so, but
Right. I think that, you know, I've had more positive experiences than negative, but I've also had like someone push me on the sidewalk for no reason, you know, a Japanese person. It was random, I was just walking. And then also real estate agencies, like I've had them like try to discourage me from being there. So I've experienced some, but mostly I think it's like kind of ignorance, but you know, like if you're being ignorant, you should be self-aware also. So, you know, yeah. So it's kind of hard to say really because I'm like generalizing a lot of people. So.
What about you, Cam?
I've had some microaggressions, yeah. But at the same time, I'm from the South in the United States. So I'm like, it's not that. And it's, in general, like very non-confrontational and passive-aggressive here. So it's like, I wish you would.
Yeah, you're not about that life, so
Right.
whatever.
Like, all right, bro. Turn your face up if you want to.
What kind of microaggressions have you experienced?
Some of the stuff, and it's like sometimes I take account of the fact that I've had like Black American South experience. So I stop and think like, is it that? Am I projecting? Like when I see people immediately get up and stuff like that. But when it comes a pattern or when I see things multiple times, I'm kind of like, oh yes, I sat right next to you and got up. Okay, cool. But that's different than me just walking into the car and then seeing somebody like happen to go to the other side. So I really try not to let it bother me because like you were saying, I've had way more positive than negative experiences. And then also like most of my social interactions are like within the artistic and music scene. So the racism or rather the stereotypes are more like, oh snap, you're a musician from America that's Black. I want to ask you a bunch of shit. So I'm sorry. I want to.
It's all right.
They're like asking me stuff that they're assuming that I know about or stuff like that. Like the whole like maybe like similar to all Black people can dance type of thing. I can. I'm an excellent dancer, but you know, it's more of that type of stuff and coming from like curiosity and wanting to exchange than it is just like negative. Granted, I'm 5 months in, so you know, holding my breath.
Okay. So I guess moving on from that, the next question would be, what is the hardest part about living in Japan for you?
I would definitely say being so far away from family and friends in America, just the distance.
Distance. Anyone else? The family's the hardest part, or is there anything else that's?
I'll probably say like just the stuff, just the thing. Because I remember there was a post that you made, like I think it was like a couple days ago about like how for you specifically, it was like the one thing that you miss is obviously like the products that you use back in the States.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably like the main thing. Because I know for me, I mean, I think for me, like I'm probably minimal. Like I use like beard oils and like stuff like that. But I think it's usually the things that I never took it for granted. But knowing like they don't have it here, like certain deodorants, beard oils, maybe cologne, certain like clothing. Like obviously the clothing here for us, like we are, you know, either heavy built or, you know, curvy or whatever, and they don't have particularly our size. So we either have to go upper size or we gotta go down, like whatever it is, versus in the States, like we get our exact size, that's it. We don't gotta go more or go less. So I think it's like stuff like that is what I kind of miss most compared to here.
I definitely need your beard oil plug.
I got you.
Appreciate it.
TikTok shop. That's another
There we go.
TikTok shop. You
I've
can't.
never bought something on there.
Yeah, you cannot. If you're living in Japan, you cannot buy nothing off TikTok shop.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They will not ship it. Like it won't. Like you won't even actually. When you go on TikTok, you actually won't see the shop on there. But if you're on VPN, then you can actually see
Gotta
it.
get a VPN.
But you gotta actually ship it to like wherever in the States. Like it will not come here.
That's crazy.
So
You guys don't use Amazon Japan though? I
I-
bought
Right.
beard oil on Amazon Japan.
it's different though. Like the beard oil I got is like
Different
natural,
level.
like
No, he wants certain kind
I
of
thought the one I bought was natural too, though. I don't know.
Is,
I trust you though.
but I would say that is that. It's just like certain things that we easily have in the States, we don't have it as easy compared to here.
Anybody else?
Spicy
I
food.
mean, honestly, I have to say, I miss my family too, for real. Because when I moved here, it was like right before the pandemic hit, right? And then I had that choice to either go back or wait here. I decided to stay. And the last time I seen my little sisters was what, a couple of months ago, right? So I got to the airport, seen this, little lady, a little taller. I was like, oh, that's my older sister. No, that was my baby sister running up on me like that. And it hit me here. I was like, damn, why are you growing up? But like, nah, I miss my family, man. Like I used to have to raise my little sister, so like, yeah, that's important for me.
Right, I miss them too, and tickets are very expensive going there. So
Hey.
right now I was like, and then you think about the inflation and everything, and I was like, food every day. So you want to stay long because of the jet lag too. So yeah, maybe next year. So yeah.
What? So speaking of like family and stuff, what makes the sacrifice worth it? Like, what makes not being able to see your family but stay in Japan worth it?
I mean, easily, because if I become successful with what I'm doing, then that puts me in a better position to take care of them.
Okay, that makes sense. So you stay in Japan just for the opportunities that are awarded to you, so that you can help your family out.
Yeah, especially at the time I was in a particular situation that was beneficial for me to be in Japan.
That makes sense.
Better way of living, and I thought it was a good place to retire, and also raise my daughter here. So I thought it was worth it.
I'll say safety for my kids. My youngest daughter, when I'm still at work, she'll, send me a message. Hey mom, I'm walking off base, going to the mall. I don't think two thoughts about it. If she was in the States, absolutely not.
You're right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like,
Don't they walk to school starting at 6 or something? Or
here earlier.
Yeah.
Really?
Here
Really?
early.
Be out there all day.
I'm like, what do you mean you go?
Yep. Anybody else?
I would say, other than my wife, obviously that'd be the main thing that makes it worth it. But just like you said, for me, just the peace. I do not have to worry about going to a mall. I don't have to worry about going to a gas station. I don't have to worry about going anywhere, especially at night. I don't have to look behind my back. I don't gotta I'm not really clench my bag, but it's I don't have to worry about getting robbed. I ain't gotta worry about getting stabbed. I ain't gotta worry about getting shot. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff while I'm here compared to living in Florida. Literally, I honestly, I promise you, if you could just listen to so many news stories in Florida, especially Orlando area, so many, just not even, I think it was Halloween weekend actually. There was they usually have these obviously parties downtown. Everyone is there celebrating costumes, all that stuff. Literally that night, shooting. Yeah. And there was from what I recall, I think it was about 7 people that were shot. I think 1 was killed, and then everyone else was injured. So it's stuff like that. You can't you can't even go out and have fun.
You can't do anything.
You can't do
right?
anything
Nothing.
without something happening.
Yeah.
So it's just like that. Obviously, Shibuya obviously didn't no drinking. I don't drink. I don't really care. But even just with that within itself, you don't really have to worry about somebody getting hurt or whatever, other than hurting themselves. But that's it. The amount of peace that I get from just going outside by myself, whether it's early in the morning, at night, whatever time. Not once do I ever have to worry or look behind my back.
Couldn't agree more.
Yep.
Yeah.
But even stepping outside your house, when I went back and was out visiting my boy's crib because we had a barbecue or whatever, I ain't have cell phone service, I got a Japanese cell phone, whatever. But my boy was like, hey, we got this party, da 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 da. Some boy picked me up, another boy, we on our way. I ain't see the message in the group chat, but he was like, yeah, by the way, they shot my house up yesterday. Just wanted to let you know.
And
Hey,
Start off with that.
Why you inviting me over here?
That's just where I grew up at. But we get there, I'm like, for real? And all of us start playing detective. We over here looking at bullet angles. We like, And he's like, yeah, man, I think it might have been my neighbors that did it too. And then I was like, brother. But like on a serious note, that is scary though, because one of the bullets actually hit the room where his daughter sleeps at. Now, you know, thankfully she fine and safe, but that's a for real worry.
Yeah.
That's real life.
You shouldn't have to live like that.
No, but here it's like what, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. I'm just kind of chilling. Look,
Like, and the worst case, the only thing you hear is like what, the ambulance like running around, but not once you ever hear a cop car. You don't hear anything other than, you know, wherever we live, wherever we used to live at. That's what you constantly hear all the time. It's like not ambulance, police sirens. So it's just like when here, only thing you hear, like especially for me in Yokohama, all I hear is usually just ambulance, just like kind of like rushing through. That's it. That's maybe like what, once or twice a week.
Yeah.
I hear it at night.
Safe country.
Yeah.
My son is 22, and even though like he's still a black male, I'm like, hey, you yellow, but you're still a black male. Seriously. And being here, he just works. He'll hang with one of our extended family members. You know, they'll go to like drift scene and all that. If I know if he was still in like the Houston area, it would be completely different. He would be hanging with, you know, because he's very friendly, very people oriented, but he loves the party scene. And I would always fear for him going out. So I'm like, I know you won't do anything, but y'all might bop around and, you know, get with the crowd, and you don't know them from Joe, and something pops off, and I'm worried about hearing about, you know, you on the news, God forbid. So here, I don't even have to worry about him.
Yeah, at peace, comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So who has kids?
I do.
You two. Do you guys plan on having kids, or is that
yeah, I
eventually.
plan on having it.
So speaking of the kids aspect, right? How do y'all feel about raising children in Japan, knowing that like the bullying is so severe, especially as you were saying with your fiance, her getting bullied so bad? Like, how do y'all feel about raising biracial kids here?
Me personally, I would rather, as bad as it may sound, and again, I haven't experienced it yet, but I would still rather raise my children here than in the States, hands down. Like, there is no question. I mean, I'll figure it out with the bullying stuff or, you know, the school, whatever, but there is no question I would rather raise my children here than in the States.
Is it because of the safety things
Yeah,
specifically?
mainly the safety.
Okay.
Like, that's like probably the biggest, especially, again, the many unfortunate things that happen in the States, especially in schools, school shootings. Obviously, bullying is one of them, but I think the main concern is just the school shootings and how often it, like, literally, it's unfortunate that it's like literally a normal thing in the States, no matter what state you're living in, whether it's New York, Florida, Texas, wherever. Like, it's unfortunately not. Like, I can't remember the exact amount, but you can Google like how many school shootings that happened in just 2024 alone. So it's just like, why would I want to risk? Even though, yes, granted, he or she may have have more opportunities there as far as like scholarships or whatever, but I would rather have his or her safety over anything else. Like, we'll figure out the scholarship, we'll figure out, you know, what else you got over internet or school, whatever. I don't care, but I want you to live and have a life versus not having one at all.
What about you, Steven?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's bullying here, there's bullying in the United States, but when you have the choice of dealing with just the bullying or bullying plus the risk of getting shot, it's a pretty easy decision. Of course, it's impossible to predict the future. In my fiance's case, as a mixed person who grew up here, in elementary school is when she said kids were calling her those kind of racist names. But in middle school and high school, it was a very positive experience for her. She said she's from Tokyo. She grew up here. Maybe it helps that things are a little more international here. I'm not sure what it would be like for somebody growing up in the countryside, but yeah, the safety is probably the biggest thing that I think of.
And you have a child, right?
Right.
How old?
She's 3. Right now she has a lot of friends and she speaks more Japanese than English because, you know, she's surrounded by that every day. But I think that if there's bullying, you know, I'll handle it.
Right.
But also there's other options. She can go to an international school.
So does she go to a Japanese school now?
Right now it's a Japanese boyfriend, so
Wow.
yeah, daycare. So it's just like, you know, everyone's speaking Japanese and stuff. So
Oh, nice.
they're very friendly.
Good. That's good to hear. So next question would be, if someone says they want to move to Japan, would you say yes or no? And why would you say yes or no?
I don't do their research.
Yeah.
I would want to know why they want to. Like, is it just a fetish? You know,
Yeah.
or like, why are you wanting to move there because it's the new hotspot, or, you know, like I said, just want to know, because then that would dictate my answer.
Okay. So what if they say that they do have a fetish?
Then come on over.
You better come here for like 2 weeks, though. It ain't worth it.
Yeah.
Just come here like maybe 2-3 weeks
Mhm.
max. Get it all out.
Visit.
Then you can like decide. Okay, do I really want to be here? And more than likely, they'll probably be like no. Compared to like when you're thinking about cost of living. Granted, cost of living here compared to the States, it is better. Yes, but if you're getting paid in yen, it ain't gonna work. Unless you're either a freelancer, you're getting paid good money, you'll be all right. But if you're getting a regular job, especially a corporate job in Japan, and you working for the Japanese company, nah,
Not worth it.
It ain't worth it.
Does anyone else agree with him? Not worth it?
Correct.
Yeah.
I
come
kinda
visit.
disagree, so.
You disagree?
Yeah, I think it's good. Like, you know, overall living. The only thing is, you need Japanese for work, and like even working at the convenience store, like something like that. Japanese for everything. So if you don't know Japanese and you're like, you know, otaku and want to come here, it's gonna be real hard for you. So I don't know that much Japanese, and it's hard for me, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of disagree too. I mean, just, you know, someone should really know what they're getting into, but also I think if someone really is feeling strongly they have that desire to do that, give it a try, come live here, I think everybody should, you know, follow their gut and get it out of your system if you need to, or fall in love with things here, stay here forever, you know. Everyone's got to live their own lives.
Right.
Right. Even if you get paid in yen, like, you know, if you got a real good job, then you're set.
Yeah, and I've only worked with in Japanese companies. I've worked in 2 different Japanese companies here, and you know, I've been lucky that the work-life balance has been really good for me. So it is possible to find good Japanese companies to work for. But you know, if somebody does move here, I totally agree. Like, yeah, if you can speak Japanese, there's a lot of things you can do maybe before you get here that can make life a lot easier for you.
What about you guys? The cams.
No, I mean, look, you want to come on through. You know what I mean? Like, you have a good experience, cool. You take an L, you can hit the dips. Like,
Test the water.
it's pretty like straightforward. Like, you don't like it, you don't like it. You like it,
Right. You can get help too. You know, we live here, so.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree. I think that really, for anywhere in the world that you're moving to, you should like do your research a lot past like what your initial drawing interest point is. Like, don't stay in that bubble. And then I did this thing where I like dated cities for 2 years just to like, you know, stay there for a few months, pretend that I lived there, see if it was a vibe. Like, I wasn't even supposed to be here this long, and here I am. But do that and kind of give yourself a chance and like constantly push yourself out of your immediate comfort zone, or else you're just gonna stay there.
Makes sense. All right, last question. Do you want to live in Japan forever?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
I think it's for me. I mean, before I moved here, I was like, where would I retire? And I thought it was Japan, you know, because low cost, even if I get paid in yen, I mean, I get paid in USD, so it's better, but low cost, better living, for my daughter and everything. So, yeah.
What about you?
No, well, I can't because my husband's being stubborn and he won't come over here.
Oh.
So eventually I have to go back over there. But I will say that recently with the uptick, and it just might be a phase, but there's been an uptick in Japan getting highlighted, and so there's more foreigners moving over here, and I'm afraid that eventually, to accommodate whether it's the declining population or just the influx of foreigners, there's going to be more Western influence, and at some point, it's going to be that cesspool that's going to be, it might not be in our lifetime, so might not have to worry about it, but they're just, like I said, people bringing over the majority of their stuff that they left. It's almost like California's moving to Texas. It's like they left where it was super high because Texas was cheap, and now they've driven up the cost of living in Texas.
Yep.
So it's, I don't know, we're gonna take it, a year at a time and see where it goes. But I mean, overall, the country's big enough to, I guess, escape if something like that happens. But at the end of the day, like I said, if my spouse doesn't come over, then
Well, hypothetically, if your husband was like, yeah, sure, then you would stay forever.
I would. Because, I mean, the youngest one, she's 16. She's about to be out the house. So we have the freedom of, we get tired of Japan, still, like, comfortably live here, but go visit other places and then we come on back.
Got it. What about you, Stephen?
That's a really hard question. Possibly, it's a consideration. Life has been really good for me here, so it's on the table. But like I said, it's really hard being so far away from family. My fiance is open to the possibility of living anywhere in the world. Really, giving America a try, or we both really love Europe too. In some ways, I've almost kind of felt like Europe has sort of like the good points of Japan and the United States blended together. I really miss diversity. Everything is so homogenous here. I miss friendly culture, talking with strangers, interacting with people, old architecture. So I don't know. We'll just see where the wind takes us.
Makes sense. You don't?
There's the question. Yeah, I mean, obviously my wife, I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. So yeah, I'll be here for. Obviously, I'm trying to back and forth, see family, visit, but I would definitely like live and die here, basically. Like, yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here for a while.
All right. What about you?
I mean, it sounds good right now. I'll say that like I'm really committed to the challenge for like the foreseeable future, just to like give it the good old college try, as they say. Diversity. There are some things that I miss, but at the same time, it's just like if I stay here forever, it for sure would not be Tokyo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why not Tokyo?
It's too many peopling.
People be people.
There is that, but also just like I visited like over in Kitakyushu is where I went, and I had a much more. It felt a lot more like familiar to me. Actually, interestingly enough, that city that I went to, I didn't know this before going, but it's like the sister city from my hometown.
Oh.
And then a lot more friendly, less of a looking in your cell phone type of vibe everywhere. So I would want to explore a lot more of the country and like spend longer periods of time places before I like write Japan off completely.
Right. Makes sense. Good answer. What about you?
Me, you know what? I don't know where the wind gonna take me. I'm gonna keep it real, but I do know that career-wise, I would like to be able to freely travel between America and Japan. One of my ultimate goals as a photographer is to be able to continue. Maybe you know about it. I did this project about 2 years called Black Gold. It was to highlight Black artists in Japan, increase the study abroad rate for Black youth back at home and connect the Japanese and Black communities together. So I hosted several exhibitions throughout the United States, physical exhibitions, as well as in Japan as well, ultimately culminating in a live event where Black artists were able to perform. All the money went to them, ticket sales. We got the Japanese community come out. It was beautiful. But to really facilitate that on a grander scale, and I ain't gonna go on to those details because like we be here talking, but I would like to be able to freely travel between America and Japan to see that happen.
All right, y'all. I'm not gonna take up any more of your time. I think it's been an hour. If not, oh well. But that's it. Owari desu. Good job, guys. Thank you so much. Yay!
First episode.